Good day, students. Welcome to Theme 4 of Project Research. And Theme 4 is Qualitative versus Quantitative Research. So the outcomes of this theme are that you need to be able to design a research study, and you need to be able to select a qualitative or quantitative approach when you design the study. Okay, so both qualitative and quantitative studies have the advantages. So qualitative studies have the advantage that we can explore why questions, and it enables flexibility of discourse because we can talk to people and we can delve deeper and we can ask more questions. It also provides face-to-face or non-verbal indicators, because when we talk to people, we can then see what their feelings are, and remember that about 80% of what we say is in our non-verbal indicators. Qualitative research, on the other hand, has the disadvantage that we can only reach relatively small numbers because of the fact that we explore deeper and we ask more questions. We cannot reach such a big population as we would be able to with quantitative research. So quantitative research asks questions like how much and how many. It provides more decision-making substance and confirmation, and it is statistically robust. This is because we have more data, because we are asking more people, but we are not getting the depth of information, because here we are asking maybe questions on a Likert scale. For example, how satisfied are you with a lecture on qualitative versus quantitative research? And the Likert scale would be then very dissatisfied, dissatisfied, satisfied, very satisfied. So you can see that the level of data is a lot shallower, whereas a similar question in qualitative research would have been what type of information do you think should be added to the lecture on qualitative versus quantitative research? And that's more an open-ended question, and there you can answer in a lot more depth. So the disadvantages of quantitative research is it's generally more expensive and time consuming. And as I've mentioned, we have a fixed questionnaire structure because we don't want to collect qualitative data, because that takes time, and it also takes time in analysis. Okay, so with qualitative data, we are interested in words and sentences and in narratives. So we want to explore certain concepts. We want to find out what the words and sentences are that people are using, and we also want to know the stories of the people. Whereas quantitative research, we are interested in numbers and figures. So even when we use a Likert scale, we want to convert that into numbers and figures. So qualitative, we want to know what. Quantitative, we want to know how much. With qualitative research, the meaning, definition, or an analogy or model or metaphor characterizing something is what we are after, whereas quantitative assumes the meaning and refers to a measure of it. So you will see in the research that we are doing on the impact of the KYP project on Kliptown, in the focus group, there is a lot of qualitative data that is happening, because I ask the management team an open-ended question, and we then have a discussion on what it is that they want us to measure. Whereas On the quantitative side, you will see that the questionnaire that you will be distributing and discussing with the people in Kliptown is going to be about how much. So in your perception, to what extent is KYP impacting the community? And we might decide to add a qualitative question or two just to give you some experience in that, but the majority of the questionnaire will be quantitative. All right, so normally what we do is we explore using qualitative research. We then theorize using qualitative research. We validate using qualitative research. And then once we have a validated answer, we then go over to quantitative research, where we, for example, have customer surveys. So here you see in-depth interviews, ethnographic observation in the exploration phase. In the in the theorization phase, we have concept testing and prototype testing. In the validation phase, we have usability testing, and then in the quantitative research, we have the customer surveys. So to an extent, we will be doing this with our measurement of the impact of KYP in Kliptown, because I have already conducted the in-depth interviews, and that was done in the format of a focus group. Then we will take the questions that came out of that, and we will then test them with Tulani Madondo, who is the director. Then we will set up a questionnaire which will then be tested for usability. So we will pilot the questionnaire with 10 or so members of the community to make sure that the questionnaire is usable at the end of the day. And then the quantitative research is what you guys are then going to go and do in the field by going house to house in Kliptown. Right, and remember, as we've said before, research in and of itself is never the final point. Once we have an answer, we then start and we explore and theorize and validate and optimize the next part, the next question that comes out of the previous research that we have done. So then we have research design classifications. So the essential elements of research design is we need an activity and time-based plan, which is always based on the research question or the research problem in this case. This guides the selection of the sources and types of information. It's a framework for specifying the relationship among the study's variables, and it outlines the procedures for every research activity. Okay, so we have a time-based plan. On the 27th of February, I conducted the focus group. During March, you guys will be busy with the literature survey, and during March, Professor Carr and I will be busy developing the questionnaire, and then in April we will test the questionnaire, and all of this will obviously be based on the research problem that we've identified. The types of, because of the research problem that we've identified, we know the sources and the types of information that we want. So the first source of information is the KYP management team, and from them we want to know how do they want us to measure the impact of their program, and out of that what they then said, we know that the next source will be the Kliptown community, and they have given us the types of information that we need to ask them. All right, and the framework for specifying the relationship among the study variables, what we are measuring is impact, so that is our main variable. And we have outlined procedures for every research activity. I've written a protocol that was used for the focus group, which you will see when we get to the focus group. And we are also going to have a protocol for the interviews. And when I train you on how to do the interviews, you will know exactly what the procedures will be for the interviews that you will be conducting. So the questions that are answered by the research design is: what kind of answers is the study looking for? Which methods will be applied to find the answers? What techniques will be used to gather the data? What kind of sampling will be used? And how will time and cost constraints be dealt with? And we will discuss that more in detail as we go along with the study. Okay, then normally when we talk about studies, we have exploratory, descriptive, and causal studies. So let's start with exploratory studies. Exploratory studies is where there is a lack of a clear idea of the problem that will be discovered in the study. So through exploration, the researcher develops concepts more clearly, establishes priorities, develops operational definitions, improves the final research design, and in doing that saves time and money. So the exploratory part of our study was the focus group, where together with the KYP management team we explored what are the concepts that they or how do they want us to measure the impact. And you will see that there we established priorities, we developed the concepts, and we hopefully have improved the final research design of the quantitative survey. And hopefully we save time and money, because remember that if you don't ask the correct questions in the next part of the study, what will happen is that you will have to redo the next part of the study, and that's why it saves time and money. Okay, so descriptive studies are formal studies. They're structured with clearly stated hypotheses or questions to describe the phenomena or characteristics associated with the subject population. It estimates the proportion of population with these characteristics, and it discovers associations among variables. So you will see that here we will ask questions like what, why, when, how, where, and who. Then the last type of study is a causal study. We're not going to get to a causal study in this research that we're busy with. So there is normally an ideal standard of causation. So one variable always causes another, and no other variable has the same causal effect. So in other words, getting stuck in traffic causes that I am late for class would be an ideal standard of causation. But in a more refined cause and effect model, you will see that there might be other reasons why I'm late for class. So it might be that I get an urgent phone call before I leave my work, or that my boss wants me to do something important before I leave, so that I'm late for class. Or it just might be that I'm tired and I want to take a break before I go to class, and so I'm late for class. So in a more refined cause and effect model, individual variables are not the cause of specific effects, but that processes are the cause of processes. And that basically is the end of the qualitative versus quantitative theory lecture. But there is an assignment that you need to do, which is on my tutor, which will take you into more depth in the textbook. And there are questions that you need to answer in terms of qualitative and quantitative studies.